in it.
There we go.
Got it.
Esta Noche, 2007's shaky cam found footage bonanza wreck. Yeah, we watched this movie. 78 minutes long.
Tune in next week.
All right. It was nice for you guys tuning in.
Yeah, we watched this. We'll get into it, but the first thing we're going to do is start it with the premise.
Get into what?
Exactly. Russ, you're going to lead us with the rating and grading. What do you got?
So I picked this movie, as you guys know. And I picked it.
I'll have to check the notes.
I picked it because I remembered loving it. And it's not exactly what I remembered. Or I didn't remember things the same way. But I would give it a C+.
C+.
Yes.
C+. All right. Well, I'm gonna just follow that up. I'd go with the C-. I would still, if you're a fan of horror movies, you've probably seen this movie because it spawned like 3 sequels and an English version. And
dude, I had to sort through 6 of these fucking movies to find the original.
Yeah. Did you watch number 4? Because that's the best one.
You did not.
No, I don't know. I haven't seen any of these movies. I'm not a big fan, but it did have a couple of cool things. It's got a couple of cool facts about it that we'll get into. And a lot of the internets say that it's important to the evolution from classic horror films like slashers to modern horror films like idiots love horror films. Joe, what did you think of this movie? Let's have a rate it and grading.
Fuck this movie, dude. I want my life back. I want my time.
I paid $4 to watch this.
Dude, you
movie.
paid $4? Fuck that. I rented it on SD for $2.99.
You did the downgrade.
Fuck, are you kidding me? I already knew. I watched the friggin' trailer and I was like, oh my fucking God, dude. I almost sent a message to the chat and I was like, really?
Joe, you should just know that any movie that anyone else picks, you are not going to like.
Yeah,
it's not true.
That might be
not true.
This movie.
Sometimes I pick movies that I know Joe will like.
Star Trek, but that was a freebie.
I watched Star Trek too. I was ready to talk all about that tonight. I was ready to talk
Spider-Man.
about
Have you guys been to the theater
Dungeons
yet?
and Dragons with my son. I'm more ready to talk about that than.
Yeah, let's do a review. We're changing up to a board game review show.
It's a F. Multiple factors affect that rating.
It's an F.
Yeah, it's a F.
That's 2 Fs in a row
to begin with.
You can't.
Joe, maybe you need to hear about BetterHelp Online. I listen to a fair number of podcasts, and BetterHelp is well represented in that space.
They are,
and that's 2 Fs in a row. I'm just worried about you.
Hey, let's make men's mental health a priority.
Let's
get. I am
by
worried
not
too.
watching this movie.
You know that an F is like cannot get any worse, right? Like there's nothing.
Dude,
the only thing
that was worse than this is Blair Witch, but Blair Witch was better because at least it was in my language.
Now
I don't know what to tell you.
Did you go see Blair Witch in the theater?
I did.
Russ?
I did not see it in the theater. No.
Okay. Joe, when you went to see it in the theater, when had it come out in proximity to when you saw it?
A week.
Yeah, right. So there was a phenomenon about this movie.
And they had phenomenal marketing. I will give Blair Witch that. That was probably the best marketed movie.
Let's take it back to the beginning, dude. The internet is new. And they flood it with this story about found footage. Not that it's fake, not that it's a movie, but like it's a real story about some footage got found.
Yeah, that shit was sold
kids.
like a documentary.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that too. And like they never came out and owned that it was fake. They just like, no, real movie. This is true.
It's a movie. And then, I went to see that thing. We got there late. I was in the third row, so I'm back like this, and it made me ill. I'm not a fan of the shaky cam. Dude, some of the up and the down the stairs in this movie, give me a break.
This movie, it's got some shaky cam. Really didn't like. I've got some issues with this movie watching it this time around. The shaky cam in this is not
Some
one
issues.
of them. Like when it wants to focus on something, it does a really fine job. It still feels like it's an at-home recording, but it's not shaking around.
I was so busy tripping over the friggin' B-reel tropes, I couldn't even pay attention to the movie. The shaky cam, the blood effects, the plot holes. It was just too much. Like, there was one moment when they were telling the people to get back away from the windows, and I was like, all right, cool, we're about to get to some actual shit. Friggin', somebody's gonna open fire on these people through the windows. Nope.
That's a real
great.
place.
This
isn't a set. This isn't a set. This is a real place, and they could not destroy property in that way. They had to work with what they had. $2 million budget on this thing.
$2 million.
So it brought home 32.5.
Dude, what kind of movie could we make with a $2 million budget? Like that? Let's ask some real questions.
I couldn't help but think the same thing. I think about Clerks. I think about Clerks, which was arguably one of my favorite movies for a number of years. And that was made for not even $1 million, maybe under. I would have to do. I didn't do the research for that, but it makes me think of how little Clerks was made for. Yeah, what could we do? The Ungrateful Guitarist. That's what we could do. That's what we could do.
The gas pimp. Where's the gas pimp?
We've got them out there. They're written down. All right.
Before we move away from shaky camera, is there any movie that has a worse shaky camera than Cloverfield?
Never seen Cloverfield.
Oh. Well,
He's
do
not
yourself
a
favor.
fan. It's all right.
I love the premise of that movie, and it's like the couple times you actually get to see something in it, it's great. But I've never been more frustrated with a camera.
Yeah.
Like I was literally angry.
I think if you looked up the dates, the Cloverfield probably came out around the same time as this. Shaky cam had its moment in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's become its own thing.
It's a classic.
They talk about,
trope.
Classic. Shaky cam is actually a version of this found footage style that has been made so popular. It's been around. There have been a lot. In fact, you can go back like Dracula, which is written hundreds of years ago, is this whole stories that have come through newspapers and diaries and things like that. It's like a found story, like you've stumbled across this hidden story that's been combined in this book. Lovecraft did it with Call of Cthulhu, same thing. But I don't think those are on that level. They're saying that found footage pretty much takes the form of
we're finally getting these literary references for this movie. That's fucking amazing. I love our show.
Well, it's the style.
I love our show.
It's the style. It's like the handheld camera, the security footage, like Paranormal Activity.
I get it, but good research. I like that.
What is it? Diary of a Vampire? Whatever.
Diary of a Vampire?
What's that freaking movie?
Vampire's Assistant?
Interview with the Vampire.
Interview with the Vampire.
Show.
That's the same thing.
That is, done like you found this story. Actually, I don't know. I've never read it. But horror movies.
But you watched it.
Horror movies. Russ, tell me why.
So I will say, I don't think the original version that I watched was the dubbed one. I think I watched the subtitled one.
Which I think I would have preferred. I almost would have preferred to watch it without subtitles in Spanish.
Yeah.
And with the dub track.
And it was kind of disappointing to me. Like, I don't like dubbed movies in general.
Nope.
Any of them.
Nope.
And I picked the movie. Then later I look it up on Amazon Prime, and it's like, hey, you get one option. We'll show you the other option. Can't buy it. And that was pretty lame. And I do remember liking it enough that I watched Quarantine almost immediately afterwards. And Quarantine is the American version of it. That's all
Right.
Hollywooded out.
Right.
And
It's got a few interesting cast choices in there that makes me almost think about I may watch it one day, but it won't ever happen.
I'd almost recommend watching it right after watching this one, because it's one of those few movies where you get to watch a foreign film and then you get to watch America's take on it, and you can tell we just have Hollywood. Like it's the exact same movie, but with
you'd
Hollywood.
Literally be able to point to where the money was spent on the increase to whatever the budget is for Quarantine.
And that's what I liked about this movie, and also didn't like. Like, I'm used to a certain level of quality that Hollywood brings to the table, certain type of scare that you get from.
Right, but that's what I mean. Like, for horror films, for me, there are 3 different types of horror films in a broad stroke. There's the jump scare. That's what you're going to get, is a bunch of jump scare. There's like the tingling goosebump tension film, The Thing from the 80s. That's like the masterful of that buildup. And then there's like the gross out gory style. Like what do you think draws you to horror films the most? What are you hoping to get out of it? Because I don't get shit out of it.
Definitely not the gore. I don't like that one at all. The pop out one is okay until it's like that's all you can do. But the build up ones, for me, those are good.
Yeah.
Those are really good.
Joe, if you're going to go after a horror film, what are you looking to get out of it?
Man, I watched Pet Sematary when I was young. Way too young.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's definitely the tension buildup with just a sprinkling of the occult in there that gets me.
So then when they get to the end of this movie,
stuff like,
is that redeeming at all, that you're like, what? Now there's some possessed crazy shit going on?
No, because to me, just with the setup, and they had all the beakers, and it was a secluded thing and all that. It had more of a Frankenstein mad scientist vibe, lost control feel to me.
It's like you got rabies with a side of the devil, and here are zombies.
Yeah, I'm just not a horror guy, man. Never have been. Exorcist and Pet Sematary ruined me for life.
Yeah, I think Exorcist is probably the scariest movie I've ever seen. It sticks with you so much. The things in that, it sticks with you. That's what makes a great horror film to me, is when you can't stop being disturbed by it later. Why do I want to watch anything like that? And for the most part, a suspension of disbelief. Like with this, if you thought I'm watching a thing that actually happened to people, it would be terrifying. But I'm not watching that. I'm watching a badly dubbed, really annoyingly acted.
And I'll admit, I'll throw out there, like, a large part of my rating is the dub. I am not.
Dubbing sucks.
I am not a dubbed movie guy. Like,
no,
if I'm watching a movie and their lips don't match the words that are coming out of their mouth.
Yeah.
You can never,
dude that's got some voice that's obviously like a 340-pound
the police captain, first police guy to die in this. The captain, he's going up and he's all gruff. I'm like, that's not what this dude sounds like.
You can just never get fully immersed in the movie when it's never
to like blend genres a little bit. If you guys want to turn this into a comedy film, rent the dubbed version and then turn on the subtitles. That shit was fucking comedy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Dude. I remember.
I was so busy trying to rectify what they were saying versus what was on the screen and try to read it. I was like, well, this is actually halfway entertaining. This is fun now.
Yeah. I remember with Crouching Tiger. I had watched that many times, always with subtitles, and really enjoyed hearing the dialect in the native language, and then putting it on dubbed once and being like, that's not what she says. That's not what. much rather hear what they're actually saying and try and figure it out from there. The dub was bad on this one.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah, and I think I was going to say like the things that I liked and disliked about this movie. One of them I appreciated watching a movie that was a low budget foreign film that doesn't have access to Hollywood, and seeing how they do things differently, seeing how they didn't focus on trying to make the pop outs too overbearing, trying to push this like the tension to that point where you're just like dying inside before, like, it didn't do any of the things that a typical American horror movie does. And it was kind of refreshing to get that, even though it also makes you feel like the quality is lower.
See, and I disagree. I think that they had a lot of opportunity that they could have exploited, and I don't feel like they did. Whoever was running the directing the shots, I think they missed a lot. You got to see a whole lot of really busy hallways with a lot of stuff in the hallway, and people moving through it, but not what was going on. Like, for me, it would have been better if it would have been more up in it, like almost. And I know a lot of people today don't know what news actually looked like, but I remember seeing news of reporters back on the battlefield, behind, reporters getting shot at and killed, doing videos and bringing the news to people. And it was just more engaging. They could have framed the shots tighter. If you were going to use the shaky cam, use it to more effect.
These guys aren't war journalists. They make a kitschy show about people who have night jobs. I think that's hard to think that they're going to be compared to like frontline soldiers, but I understand what
even
you're
more
saying,
so that
for the sake of the movie.
Well, for me, it would have accentualized the rookie amateurish of it, having them fully pulled back, and this nice frame of the. Anyways, it is what it is. There were small points that I feel like they could have improved. Overall, it is what it is, man.
I felt like this. To me, there were 3 great shots in it. 3 shots that I really thought was good. Like, in doing the trivia, I found out that a lot of the actors, they weren't given a full script. They were only given little pieces on the day so that they would be kind of agitated and tense, and they would create this, you don't know what's going to happen. When the guy falls and hits the ground, nobody knew that was going to happen. That's all genuine people freaking out at what is just, that's
pretty scene cool. Was great.
Yes, that's the first one where I was like, oh, nice. That was finally something's going on.
Scene in the movie.
There's some scenes in this movie where, like, the ingenuity of having such a low budget, and like, you can tell these people don't have a lot of experience making a high quality movie or even acting. And some of the shit they pull off that is different than what Hollywood would have done is pretty cool, Joe.
Hey, this week's episode brought to you by Being Cool. Hey, man.
It's Joe Rogan.
Be cool.
It's the first time. Whatever, guys.
Hey, second one is, even though it's coming, when they go back up and Conchita and the Colombian girl are not in the hallway, that's like that's a nice, good shot they do right there, that hallway. And then when they finally get up to the top, right before they go in the attic, and they look over and it's the stairwell, and they're all like, hear them and pop their heads in and then start coming up.
That was a good scene.
I thought that did well. I also thought, like you had said, to your point about looking at it as a comedy, that was almost, I was like, they could break in a song right there. And you'd be like, hey,
it's a small world.
We're coming to eat you. Yeah.
All right. Before we talk about anything else that's good, do you guys have a worst scene? Because I definitely do.
I feel like the whole interviews in the middle of the thing did nothing for the movie. It was 79 minutes long. It could have been under 60.
I don't know. I
Most of our
the-
fans say that about our show.
Yeah, true. Keep it under 60, guys. Yep.
I kind of like the interviews. I didn't think they were good though. They were poorly acted.
Yeah.
I think they were necessary, but they could have done a better job with what they were doing.
My
Joe, do you have a
least-
worst scene?
Yeah, my worst scene is when they're coming to the door carrying the dude that's bleeding out, and suddenly the building is locked off, and they like on the door twice.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
they
it's
just give up.
locked.
Yeah. Plastic
I don't know.
and scotch
And then-
tape is going to keep you guys in here.
And then later, dude comes over with the key and just unlocks it from the inside. Wait, what?
That's
Russ,
true.
what
That
about
was
you?
that was a bad one. Even with that, I think this one's worse. When the fireman grabs the Asian chick's face and just snaps her neck like out of nowhere, and she's a zombie. They've already established that doesn't do anything to the zombies. Did you see how hard he tried to snap her neck? It was not very hard. And
Yes.
did he ever up to that point like make you feel that he was a neck snapper?
Well, he's
Dude, did
he's
you
a
see the way
fireman,
he
dude. They
handled
don't.
that
They got secret
basketball?
identities.
No, but
All
on the
firemen
basketball
are
court,
trained
they
in
established
snapping
his-
necks.
That's
Yeah.
right. And cashing checks.
Yeah.
He's like
Both.
literally, he's like, "No, and then she just falls over.
Done. Done.
That was so poorly acted. Just too much for me.
Back to what's good. Felt like the possessed girl in the attic. Really great job with her. Her holding her bashing with the pipe. When she gets the cameraman, her whole look of the elongated arms, I was like, creepy.
I mean, well, when you sink 80% of the movie's budget into
Yes. Yeah. That's a $200 suit right there. $200,000 suit for sure. That's
Whatever-
1/20th of the budget.
You never see anyone look like that in a Hollywood movie. And I would argue that that was better than most of the zombie demon things that they do in the Hollywood movies. It was freaking crazy looking.
I mean, Day of the Dead, the zombies in that are pretty great.
They're
What
so
the
cliche,
fuck?
though. I'd never really seen one that looked like this before.
But the little boy in the same minute, the little boy up in that attic, it's like, what the fuck is this? What
Yeah.
the fuck is this?
that was the only other scene in this movie that stuck with me was when the little girl.
I think that was the
Oh,
boy.
so that was one of my biggest gripes. I'm like, you know, something's wrong with this little girl the whole time, right? The whole time she's got an interview, all this stuff. And then all of a sudden they find out about the dog and it's like, oh, I'm a zombie right now and I'm biting mom. Like she would have been a zombie that whole time. And then she just
who knows? Maybe
Maybe.
it affects little
Dumb.
ones differently.
dumb.
I do always hate when movies like do things that are just for the sake of the movie and it's too obvious.
Like
And
this
it's not-
entire movie.
It just no. There's a lot of things in this movie that I think follow realism more than you would see in other movies. But when you just do something like, oh, if in this 1 second time span this thing took place, it would definitely benefit the movie. That
Call
to
comes
me
into
is
the
less
fire
realistic.
station. Fire crew shows up. No fire.
The firemen don't only fight fires.
Right. But most firemen that walk in and it's a crazy person. Oh, there's an ambulance that's showing up right behind us in 2 minutes.
No,
Nobody's
you're
bleeding out and the house is.
Oh no, they got to get at it, bro. They got to
No,
get
you're-
at it. Those are firemen.
You're very wrong in that. Every time we call 911 at the winery because someone's drunk, firemen show up first.
And they
they
hose them down. They hose them the
stop,
fuck
and then
down.
They friggin' listen to the building security guy.
They take care of it.
We'll
I'd
put
actually
you in
say
charge.
9 times out of 10, firemen are doing the jobs of the other emergency people because Those
No, I
people
would
are
agree with that.
preoccupied with the real emergencies. If it's just somebody locked in a
Oh, you're
room,
saying firemen don't respond to real emergencies? Damn, hot take.
No. I'm just
Russell
saying-
Craigie.
there's somebody who's passed out dying a little more frequently than there is a major fire.
This is true.
But there's a lot of bullshit that
I
goes
don't know.
on.
It's just California, right?
Like if I'm having a panic attack and I call 911, they're going to be like, okay, sir, we'll send someone. And they send firemen because
Send the police.
an ambulance has
Not
got to
another
save
crazy
someone
white
who's
boy.
been stabbed.
Well, because an ambulance has got to send a bill out.
Yeah, that too.
Well, so does the fire department, but they send it out from the city.
Oh wait,
So the
yeah,
city gets
public
a cut.
services. Wait,
I really like that the little girl ate the cop. I thought I was so sick of that cop. I was like, yeah, good. Get him. Get him. Enough of him. So, all right. If you've made it this far in the show,
you made
you're
it farther than I
probably
did
one
to
of
the
us,
movie.
but you get a
It took me
special
three-
treat.
It took me 3 times.
Here we
3 times to
go.
watch
Covered
it.
in film after dark. I got a question for you. Zombie films. Let's tackle the hard questions.
What zombie films? Really? All right, let's
You're
do
in
it.
the zombie film, right?
Yep.
The chick you're with that you're trying to protect gets bit. How long do you have before it's unacceptable to think having sex with her will not make you a zombie?
It depends entirely on the setting. Are we talking World War Z or are we talking Walking Dead? I mean, you got there's parameters
talking-
I need here.
Hey, I'm talking as generic as possible.
An informed
Is it already a
decision.
done deal, Russ? Already a done deal? You're like, you're bit. I got to leave you. I'm out.
Do I have to answer your question?
I mean, technically not. I think it's what the fans want to know. Has this? I looked on the internet. There's a whole thread on this.
You did.
Why am
No, I
that's-
didn't.
that's-
See, but you believe me, motherfucker. I told you all I got to do is throw out horrible. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
He
That's
got
right.
you again.
All right. This film was filmed chronologically. So was Quarantine. Kind of cool.
Fair. Maybe.
I'm done.
I'm trying to break that statement down for me.
no, that's about how this movie was.
Yep.
I'm done.
I'm done. I'm going to get dragged off into the darkness. Let's talk about 2007. You know what was happening in 2007 when this movie came out? The first generation of iPhone was being released.
Wow.
Google just launched its Android platform. 2007.
What else happened? Were we?
Well, let me tell you,
That's
the top
insane,
U.S.
dude.
movies. What do you think was the number one grossing U.S. movie of 07?
Ben's gonna
Titanic.
Tell us.
Spider-Man 3 with Mr. Tobey Maguire.
Wow.
I just saw the new Spider-Man also with Mr. Tobey Maguire. Shrek the Third beat out Transformers by $3 million. But hey, worldwide, a different story. Number one, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Not
Which
a
one?
surprise.
At World's End, 960 mil. Damn.
God
Harry
damn.
Potter, Order of the Phoenix, 941. Spider-Man 3, still worldwide beloved, 894 million.
Harry Potter. That was only Order of the Phoenix year. God, they
07 was
cranked
Order of
those
the
out.
Phoenix.
They cranked those out.
Sure did.
Harry Potter was a good, like,
It
Harry
spawned
Potter
a
is
phenomenal
under-
adult film series.
Harry Potter is underrated
twatter.
for how well the movies were suited for the books. Like in that discussion, that film adaptation is definitely in there for that. Stayed pretty true to the books.
What?
I mean, when Harry
Order of the
Harry
Phoenix?
Potter,
Harry Potter from the books
Oh,
to
okay.
the movies.
Order of the Phoenix was one of my least disappointing. I wanted that big vat of brains. I wanted them to fall in that big vat of
Well,
brain.
right, but you got to think about the audience.
You
Like,
guys- you
writing
guys-
about that is one thing.
you guys read the Harry Potter books?
100%. They're phenomenal.
Fuck yeah, they're great books.
Losers.
Losers.
Says the guy
I still
who's
read her,
never read
dude.
a
Her,
book.
Joe will testify as well. Her Cormoran Strike detective novels under
yeah,
the
those
pen
were
name
great.
Robert Galbraith,
Fucking
phenomenal.
great.
The actual person who
absolutely
does the
spawned my-
writing, I hear, not so great. But I don't follow Twitter, so I don't know. It's just a thing on the internet.
Bada boom boom.
Have you guys ever seen the South Park episode where they're pretending to be Lord of the Rings characters?
Yes, it spawned a whole game.
They encounter the other kids who are pretending to play Harry Potter,
Yes.
and they make fun of them.
Yep.
Not surprised that that's Russ's reference at all.
I read an article that Ed Sheeran, the guy who does the songs, said that the Ginger episode of South Park ruined his life.
Fuck that guy. I don't know anything.
Hey, man, he writes tunes, bro. And he's English, and you never knew. All right. Anything else for record? Racciarto?
Don't watch the dubbed version.
Yeah, don't watch the version.
In fact, I just watch Quarantine
right.
if you're
just catch the newest one.
in
Save yourself some time because
this
I
country.
guarantee you in 6 movies they've improved.
Hey, Joe. Tu tiene malo sabor.
That's fair.
El Porto es abierto.